Cord on the.
Well, hello there. We are your Lighthouse ladies bringing you today money chats.
Oh, this is so much fun. I'm Lisa Regan.
I'm Caitlin Graves, and we have figured out how to put us together in the Zoom.
Yeah, immersive view is amazing. I love the playground of Zoom. Why not?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's incredible. So we are learning new stuff and having fun. And today we are talking about the B word, and probably not the B word you're thinking of. We're talking about budgeting and kind of our story with budgeting. And Lisa having, like 30 years experience in finance in general, but really, we started Budgets Are Sexy workshops. Why did you start this with us, Lisa? Like in Lighthouse, what was your goal to for these workshops, and how are you doing with budgeting, and how does budgeting make you feel?
Well, I started Lighthouse Ladies with you because it was really fundamentally changing my conditioning when it comes to money. Tons of money experience, both positive and negative, yet it's like there is such a lack of financial literacy out there. There's a lack of awareness when it comes to feeling empowered and having a productive relationship with money. Oh my gosh, and I've gone through the rhythmic cycles of more than enough to not so much, and back and forth, and the teeter-totter effect. And the burning desire for each and every human being, starting with myself, was to understand my relationship to me and my divine inheritance. Coming from God, creator, source, when it comes to the physical experience in life, it became so critical for me to understand what kind of conditioning have I been in order to have a more holistic, expansive appreciation for the energy of money, what money can do. And it starts with beliefs and habits, hence conditioning. I think of Pavlov's dog. It's a way of training. And so moving from a limited viewpoint on training, it was really critical to go, all right, how can we do this? And in tapping into our innate gifts, our spiritual gifts, all the things that we've been given in infinite potential, infinite opportunity, and we're infinite beings. So I'm like, what the hell? Serious people. And then it became, well, how about making budget sexy when it comes to doing something that either feels tedious and like it begins like going to the gym. Well, you can force, but there's that component. Or there's like, I can really get into the spirit of what wealth allocation really means. And that's how we decided to call budgeting. But since everyone's familiar with budgeting, the big B word, it's like, let's make them sexy.
Right.
Long awareness of why, but that is so huge. And then like all these side components, Caitlin. So when you and I really delved into creating Lighthouse and Lighthouse Ladies, what caused you to want to play in all things money, really, all things wealth, all things money?
Well, so obviously there was a few deciding factors for me. Most of my adult experience had been very paycheck to paycheck. And then working with you before we started Lighthouse Ladies and just getting more financially stable and feeling more confident in money instead of really having a paradigm that says money's evil, money's bad, money's terrible, I suck at money, I don't like money. So there was a lot of times I would be calling my circumstances poor, and you would not enjoy that, and you would always try to reframe it or say, hey, like, can we come up with a different word here, because our words are powerful, and it's the way I was thinking of my life. And in all reality, I'm very, very abundant in love, connection, family. I have a home, I own a home, I own my vehicles, my kids are safe, they have clothes, we have food, I have animals. And then, the money component started to shift, watching Bob Proctor, and he said, you can create your own economy. And so those kind of got my gears going and kind of a burning desire to do so and not have to trade. I know this was a really huge part for me, not have to trade my time for money in the essence of an hourly wage. So where I know I'm limited, you're going to work an 8-hour shift, you're going to make this much money in that 8-hour shift, and you're going to have to do it 5 days a week in order to sustain what you need for your bills. Well, and we've even shifted the word bills to investments. So we think it's really important that you find the words that work for you, because budgeting is an emotionally charged word, and it's generally coming from a place of, money shame, lack of confidence, overwhelm. You're just overwhelmed by the idea, so you're avoiding. The lack of funds. So for the longest time for me, it was like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. What in the heck is a budget gonna do for me at that point in my thinking? Like, there's nothing to budget, right? And you would say, well, just put $1 a week away, $1 a week. You're like, this is how you start getting out of that mindset and also into a better habit to just start. It's going to compound eventually, $1 a day for 20 years. So when you look at an overall view of what drove me to doing Lighthouse Ladies and Lighthouse, is I really thought it was important for anybody in my circumstances. I have chosen a harder road, I guess, in my life. I had a daughter young, I was a teenager. And then that relationship didn't pan out. And so I met my now husband later on, and we were doing financially okay. And then he became disabled, permanently disabled. And that really shook us up and created a really different financial picture, a real different family picture. And he already had a son and I had a daughter. So we had 2 kids, under the age of 5. And I'm working, I think at that time, as a cook, and it's hourly wage, and you're just having just enough to pay what you need. And then there was addiction, and I dealt with a lot of addiction in my life in different places in different ways. And so the scarcity and the fear of really never having enough, just that scarcity component, that I had built into my mindset that just said, well, this is the way it is. And it even does make you think of quote unquote wealthy rich people as bad people, because, well, look at all the people suffering, look at all the homeless, look at all the children without food, and getting that perspective. And I had to take kind of the power away from money and the aspect of it's just a piece of paper. And Bob Proctor was fantastic at just you taking your power back and understanding that it's a piece of paper, right? So the value that we as a society put on it, $1, $20, $50, $100, but it's a piece of paper and it is constantly in circulation. And so understanding that I just needed to stop looking at it from a viewpoint that caused me total anger. I mean, just total lack and total anger. I was not going to serve my family well staying in that space. And I wanted to be able to be around for them more. So being self-employed in general was being able to build our schedules, and we had already been doing that. So I now understood, from a standpoint of, oh my goodness, you don't have to trade your time for money in that hourly wage aspect. And then bringing in how much this has helped me, my family, and how much more I still have to learn and grow, and understanding that you can change, right, how you think and how you feel about something. And money was a huge anxiety component for me. And you had so much experience in the financial world, and you had this burning desire to teach. And I had a burning desire to bring this awareness to people that are either recovering from addiction, struggling with addiction, young children. So all these principles, right, that we've learned from our mentors, to get them to people sooner, get them out there in a way that they could have them from a young age, get them out there in a way where when you feel like there's nothing else and you're lost and you're defeated, here is a way to look at life that's going to change that for you. And money being one of the top reasons why people are so stressed out. It was just natural to both of us to really speak on it, and then doing life insurance and understanding how important it was. And your risk management, it brought me into a new awareness. And I want to share that with people, with everyone, with my kids, just because I know now, I no longer call myself poor. I've taken that word out of my vocabulary. There's so many words that I've now clear, canceled, and deleted to create a better way of telling myself the story, right? So the other really huge component was doing this for women, especially because you and I both have a relatability that said, okay, and people in our lives that lost their significant other and then had nothing and everything was gone, and they had no knowledge. They had no understanding of where their money was at, where it was coming from, where it was going, nothing. Their worlds were just crushed. And knowing I never wanted that to happen to another woman in particular. So having this knowledge and sharing it with it abundantly, to just know that you as a human being are divine and you have divine abundance here. And money is made to circulate, and savings is great, but it's not going with you when you leave here. You can leave it with your family, and that's beautiful. That's why we loved life insurance. It was a beautiful way to leave the ones you love with money, so they're not sitting here stressed out when you're gone over money. They can grieve you. And so that created a whole level to Lighthouse Ladies, and we wanted to shine the light on all the fear and all the shame around money. People don't talk about it. They kind of just sweep it under the rug. And really, it's one of the biggest, according to all the statistics, one of the biggest stresses for human beings is money. So we really wanted to bring the light into that. And then budgeting, right? So we changed that word to wealth allocation because it felt better for us. And then budgeting is sexy, is like, oh my goodness, this is a beautiful component to make something that usually feels stressful or just downright impossible sometimes into something sexy.
Right, where we can transmute all the negative, because it's all an emotional component. Like you said, money is paper. Yet there is so much emotion in the energy of money. And it's like, well, as we know, the opposite is true in anything, right? So whether, it could be total empowerment or total imprisonment with money, pick one. No different than you, Caitlin. I've been in the mindset during the course of certain events that have happened that I really could have labeled myself poor. Yet there was enough burning drive and something to say, all right, this is not going to work as you were growing up. This just is not acceptable. So, yeah, but here's the reality is we get to choose our thoughts. We really do. And because of that ability, that freedom, then we can shed the light, make budgeting not only sexy, but something that empowers you. And we really go into that in our workshops really well. But wealth allocation is the same freaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, hey, which, it's like trying on shoes. What feels better?
Exactly. That's a fantastic way to put it. And so there is so much proof out there that says we know what to do, we just don't do it. So there are financial experts, and Lisa, they are there for a reason, because there is a lot of terminology, right? When you start getting deep into finances, it's like being a doctor that you're just not taught unless you're going to educate yourself on it. So that part and creating that to really just start bringing out the education component to make it more simple, to make it more easy, because one of our favorite things is to ask ourselves, how can this be easy? That's Mel Robbins, and it's freaking brilliant.
It is.
How
can we make this easy? And boom, we start triggering that.
You start thinking in that light. And then the wealth allocation component for us was like, oh, wouldn't I much rather allocate my money than budget it? Because it's like dieting. We feel constricted. And human beings, when you want to get into better habits, and I shared this on the Facebook again today. I mean, she just had a beautiful point, and she was like, don't come for me in the comments, but she was commenting on sustainability versus consistency. And a lot of coaches and a lot of people do, just kind of pound in consistency. And I don't have a problem with consistency, but when she pointed out the difference between sustainability and consistency, it totally, totally makes sense. The law of rhythm, right? So we also speak to universal laws consistently in our teachings and in our coaching, because it's what helped us understand how to best circulate ourselves. So not even circulating money, but how to best circulate ourselves and our energy in this world. And the law of rhythm says we're going to go up and down. And that's how life's going to work. So building yourself sustainable habits. So many people will go build a budget, but they won't make it sustainable. They'll say, this is what I should do. Well, no, you need to look at what will you do? And then you can start improvising that to better circulate your money. Don't make it what you should do, because that's not sustainable at all. And you're setting yourself up. It's like, I am never going to eat sugar again. Oh my God, like, don't set yourself up for something you know you won't do. And it's something Lisa and I've always talked about. Knowing yourself gives you the power to know what you will do. So if you're a spender, if you're a saver, if you're a discount shopper, these things about yourself from your experience here on the planet so far. And what you want to do is create your wealth allocation, your budget around what you know you are, and then start putting in small habits to where you want to be with your money, how you want your money to be circulating. And instead of causing you to feel restricted and like imprisoned, right? Because that's really how we look at budget. Oh, if I go over my budget, I'm bad. I screwed up, or I didn't make the budget this month. I'm not good with money. So the stories we tell ourselves.
Okay, right there, Caitlin, I am not good with money is another huge, huge story conditioning, like you said, we tell ourselves. And that's another reason, sincerely, that brought me to this point in time and having this huge desire to share, it's like, gosh, we can learn this together. By all means, I don't know everything. I have a wealth of experience. I have my degrees in business finance, plus all the years in insurance. What I like doing is taking all this knowledge that we have and applying it on how I want things to be. How do I really want my money to circulate? And then start at that point. But I'll tell you, it's been an awareness to really shut down the unsupportive stories. It's like, who said you're not good with money? So what? I mean, it's like, okay, I may have overspent. I may have overdrafted my account 1,000 times. Is today a new day?
And
How
is it a
much
new
baggage
normal?
do you want to bring in to keeping you? Okay, well then, if you don't want it, don't think it. Man, the training I had today, and Troy Chadwick was on fire with, if you don't want it, don't think it. Because that's a whole different level of what to bring in, but it's thought that created everything that we have now. We are actually living in a thought evolved world. Everything came from the imagination, to the pen, to the phone, to the mouse, to
Zoom, yeah, to the
Zoom.
background where we can
Right.
sit next to each other, even though we're 2.5 hours away from each other.
So the whole thing is the story that we end up saying to ourselves over and over again. Well, all right, well, or I need to be debt free. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. What says that you have to be debt free? Because when you're focused on debt, it's very restrictive. So it's just like, oh, how about going into the playground and exploring that, sending money to the electric, gas company is an expense versus an investment. It's like, I'm investing in my heat, I'm investing in my light. I'm so excited and grateful to be able to do that, that it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, there goes more money. But that becomes a thought in how we relate to what it is we're doing. That's, I just like, I get so passionate about it. I really do. It's fun.
Well, and truly in understanding that's why, we started Lighthouse together, and going back from being in life insurance and working for you while we were in life insurance, and that you wanted to be able to educate more than you wanted to be able to offer products.
Yeah.
So even though you were doing both, you're not in that essence with that particular company, with the structures of laws, able to get paid to educate and get paid to offer products. So you spend hours, and it was great, but you were really saying, I really want to do more of the educating for people, and even more so on their mindset, and then bring in the practical financial tools, but knowing that it all starts in our mind with how we perceive it, because that's how we're going to do it. And that comes down to knowing yourself and how you do things. So I created a more sustainable budget. That's what I have done for me. And we have some great money formulas that are seriously amazing, because I am a very logical person when it comes to, okay, input this, overthink, check the bank account. Oh, anxiety, too much came out. And really replacing that with, I do check my bank account. If I spent more than I should have, or if more came out than I should have, then I simply say, okay, well, that's where we're at, and more is going to come back in, instead of just getting stuck into how much came out. Because then it's still that lack, it's still the scarcity, and really understanding that the value you hold is not in the external, it's in your internal. So my value is not in my bank account. My value is not how nice my house is. My value is not how nice my car is. It's not how nice my clothes are. My value is inside of me. And once I could start understanding and creating that consciousness, I was able to stop putting so much negative feelings onto money, because I was allowing it to make me feel invaluable, because I didn't have it according to the standards. I was on the food stamps multiple different times in my life, and qualify for Medicaid, and just all the things that really our government defines as poverty level. That's their definition, and it's not helping anybody. And the way that system works doesn't help anybody. It doesn't give you a stepping stone to build yourself out of it. It's all or kind of nothing, it's, you make $20 more and your food stamps are cut. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, well, we'll gradually take you down. No, you're cut. So people stay in this kind of imprisonment in that in itself. I was there, I know, because it's like, okay, I could pick up some extra hours, but then I lose my $300 worth of food stamps. And 4 extra hours, so $80 isn't worth $300 of food stamps. So you feel stagnant and stuck and trapped. And this is a paradigm people have with money. And it's a paradigm I didn't want my kids to have. And so it's been a growing, and that's why I'm very excited that I know that NHI is coming out with some awesome programs to help kids. I just saw a study today. It was like 80% of Americans believe that kids K through 12 should be taught about money, but it's only happening in 12% of schools. And obviously these are all statistics. But that's why we're doing this. It is awareness, it is understanding, it is support, it is accountability, and it's sustainability. So we want to help all clients, all people, to not feel defined by their money in their bank account, and also understand they can grow that amount so they can live the life that they want. As I'm learning it myself, right? As I am constantly teaching myself every day the same principles, using these awesome laws of the universe and our spiritual gifts to create a better understanding for myself. And that's what I was passionate about. And then I wanted to do it for my kids. And then I wanted to do it for other people's kids. And then I wanted to do it for so many people I know struggling in addiction, because that's really just another mental health that's like, I am poverty, I am lack, I am scarcity, I'm not enough. Too many bad things have happened. I can't deal with them. I can't cope with them. And so creating a different narrative, that's why we built Lighthouse Ladies. That's why we want to shine light and understand that we can be in the dark, and that's okay, but there's always light, and you can see it. So, I mean, I think we're going to do money chats. That's something Lisa and I had been talking about. I think this time is going to be sustainable, Monday around the 2:15 for our money chats. And so if there's anything specifically that you want to learn about money, that you want to know about money, that you want to deal with wealth, with mindset, put it in the comments. We'll talk about it and really just start having more open conversations, because we got to get rid of the shame. We got to get rid of this guilt. We got to get rid of this fear, or we just need to learn to love it. And that was a really good one that I think you had brought in. Love the fear. You can start loving these things, and that's going to bring you to a higher vibration and a different narrative in your head. And then physically, it's going to change 3D, right? So the idea that is this phone came from inside somebody's head.
So, and it's just was so huge, where I think it was shared by Tony Robbins, that our physiology is directly linked to our psychology and vice versa. As we really delve into the natural laws, spiritual laws, whatever, the principles that our initial mentor, Bob Proctor, who passed, who studied Napoleon Hill's principles. And that's what the present journey is all about, is really embodying the principles that Napoleon Hill, who studied from Robert Collier, who studied from, right? So there's this lineage of the principles that bringing it forward into this now moment. And whatever you do today, bring into your, I just want to encourage everyone, when you say, I am, pause before the next descriptive word. I was really keenly aware, I am broke. Excuse me, but do not think about what you don't want. And when you say I ams, you are thinking that. So shut that down, write it down on a piece of paper, write down the exact opposite. This is something else we really bring in, and in the workshops, do it. You turn around and immediately affirm the opposite if it happens to be on that negative side, because it brings you down. And that is the saddest, most emotionalized, charged thing when I hear people, including my family members, say I'm poor or I'm broke. Our imagination and what we can think is infinite, and each and every one of us are infinite beings. So when you just even say and figure out how to connect to that, all the things around you were once not in form, and you can go, wow, look at me being abundant. Look at me being so freaking wealthy that, wow. So there is plenty of evidence right in front of our eyes that we can see and say, I am magnificent. I am wealthy beyond my imagination. My imagination creates wealth for me. It is so critical. It's that livingness right now. I just, yeah.
Beautiful. We are so grateful to be where we are doing what we're doing. I mean, that's what I also know. We love what we do, and it's so all encompassing for us, that it continues to evolve and grow because it's everything. And so when you start talking about energy and money being energy, well, energy is everything. So claim you are infinite, you are abundant, you are magnificent today. We love you guys. And we'll see you. Well, we'll always see you guys on Thursdays at 11 a.m. But for Money Chats, we'll see you next Monday at 2:15.
Have a marvelous Monday.
Marvelous Monday.